We're going to have to set fire to an Insignia.
Yes, or a Subaru. Oh, we can set fire to both. We can crash them into each other and set them on fire. Yes.
You're saying that as if my child wouldn't drink Lenore.
Yeah, to be fair, I'd consider it.
It softens your insides.
Car's crazy.
No, the Zymol General I would be happy to take a bath in too. I mean, not at the same time, that'd be weird. Welcome back to part 2 of our magazine read-through. This is issue 12 that we're looking at. In our last podcast, we got through the guide section and the new product section, and now we're continuing on, and we're kicking off today with our review of the AutoSmart Matrix and Soft 99 Kojutsu wheel coating, and it was on Ian's Audi A5, which was the showcase star of last issue.
Road Wars car,
indeed. We are joined, as ever, by Ian.
Hello there.
And by James.
Hello.
And these two chaps were responsible for getting the Audi in such a nice condition in the first place. So I feel it only fair that they explain how they then went to try and destroy us at a dealership wash.
We didn't try. We bloody succeeded, I think.
I think the particular highlight was, first of all, was when Ian was negotiating, should we say, with the main dealership, because they offered it was a deal on the service, wasn't it? They were doing a deal on servicing, and we said, I wonder how many things they'll snag it on to try and
get more money.
Up the job. And we weren't disappointed.
No.
We weren't disappointed at all.
And how much they'd bill those jobs out at?
Oh yeah, it was incredible.
Well, strangely, I took my S8 Fritz to the same dealership as you did, and I knew there were problems, and they came back with a parts quote for £3,500, let alone labour and all the rest of it. And then I admittedly paid my £50 diagnosis fee or whatever, and then disappeared off and bought all the parts second hand for about £1,500. So
funny you should say that, because I was quoted £400 a corner for outboard springs on the rears.
Oh,
to be perfectly honest, if Ian asked me to help him do it again, I'd probably charge him the same. But yeah, the first thing really is we were really excited to get the AutoSmart coatings because AutoSmart have been a
stalwart, a foundation,
that's a good word,
a pillar
of the valeting, and I was going to say detailing as well, because a lot of guys still use G101 and they still use. But when they announced it was really exciting, because it was a sign that they are starting to
evolve.
Yeah, but take note that detailing's a thing.
Well, I mean, they've just moved from selling only out of trucks to actually having an online presence.
Yeah, through Amazon.
This is like the start of the space race. They've gone onto Amazon, now they're doing ceramic coatings all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And I had a chance to speak to Mr. Mike Brain,
possibly,
it was, at AutoSmart, and he's one of their R&D guys. And it was really quite refreshing to speak to somebody that was from a brand that isn't experienced in ceramic coatings, but he was aware of everything that goes on with them. And the questions that I were asking were along my sort of usual nerdy, pessimistic route. Mm-hmm. But he answered them. So when we got a chance to use them on the car, we knew that they'd put some work into these. They weren't just off the shelf from
they weren't
white
labelled. Yeah.
One thing to note is they don't make them themselves currently. They have developed them. That's the key here, is they haven't just bought one off the shelf. They've been through the R&D process, the prototyping process, and they have fine-tuned them to be exactly what they want. But they currently don't make them at their own sites. However, we think that they're looking to do that.
That was their end game, wasn't it?
Yeah, because they've got a new site at the factory that's being built. We were hoping to go and visit it, but I think the whole pandemic's blown that out of the water. So yeah, I think they're hoping to do that, and that will be exciting, because then we've got a UK manufacturer.
Well, it will, and also I think there's probably an element of seeing whether an AutoSmart coating would sell, and given how many detailers and valeters have taken it up, I mean, we're talking 3 figures here. There's definitely now demand for it, so I think it kind of supports it.
Yeah, let's not beat around the bush. So the coatings will only ever be as good as the prep.
Correct.
So you can have the best coating on earth, but if you've got somebody who's inexperienced or not willing to put the effort in to prepare the car for the coatings, it's going to look crap. It's not going to last very long.
Mhm.
However, we decided to give this a go to our standards, and the work that we put into Ian's A5 was really extensive. I mean, we went to town on that car, and we had all sorts of different paint types and paint hardnesses to work with, and I was really impressed with it.
Yeah. No, it came out looking fab the other end.
Yeah, the gloss results were incredible, like straight away. Application was all right, actually. I mean, we weren't expecting it to be easy. Some of the more expensive coatings we've tried recently have gone on like an absolute treat.
I mean, I've had some absolutely horrible ceramic applications in the last couple of years with trying various ceramics out, and it's had none of those issues whatsoever.
Yeah,
So
it was pretty nice. It was quite nice to use. No high spots to speak of. No marring. No sort of holograms or anything after we'd applied it. No sealant marks.
And this is all from a coating that's quite cost effective. It's
Well, that's the key as well.
Yeah.
Because you'd expect it from Ultimate, it's going to have a good price point, and that's the key here. Is that we're starting to see. I mentioned it on a blog that I wrote for the Academy the other day. Is that the cost of ceramic coatings as a product has come down to such a point now where it's no longer necessary for people to be paying £1,500 a car.
Yes. Yeah, it's almost the novelty tax that was put on things now. I mean, don't get us wrong, you can still spend a lot of money on a little bottle of ceramic coating if you really want to, but the ones that are cheaper are no longer just the slightly dodgy imports from China. You get some properly acceptable, well-built bits of kit for very reasonable sums.
Yeah.
yeah, but again, I'll turn my microphone on. Again, that comes down to the state that most cars are arriving now.
Yeah, it's the prep, isn't it? The prep's where the money is. And if you're looking at a used car, like Ian's, for example, if that came into us to actually do as a retail job, we'd be looking in excess of...
It'd be four figures.
It would definitely be four
yeah.
figures.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, I mean, for the price break that we've seen it at, the packaging was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Labeling was awesome.
Branding's good.
Yeah.
Branding's on point.
All the claims stack up.
They really do. I mean, and that's the thing is it's they've almost taken the best of all of the coatings that you can see on the market
And put it into
and
an
put it
affordable
into one
package.
product that's
Yeah.
affordable. They've got the good branding, they've got the good backup, the aftercare kit that we were sent out.
Yeah,
I
maintenance.
think that is an extra that you can buy for your customer,
Yes, with
But it's-
duofoam in.
but it's also
Yeah.
smart products.
Again,
Which-
nicely packaged. It's got everything you need in it. It's got nothing superfluous. It's got a water spot remover. It's got a quick detailer. It's got duo foam in there. So there's nothing that's just been put in there for the sake of that's what they want, as it were. It's
Yeah,
just
exactly.
what you actually need.
And then the wheels. You did the wheels, didn't you?
Yes, Kujitsu,
Kujutsu.
awesome stuff. It goes into it in the article, but it's quite unique in the way that it only targets what it actually needs to as a wheel.
It literally does exactly. It only does exactly what it says it will do.
Yes, very very binary product, but fantastic if you're looking to if you just had your wheels refurbished like we did for the A5, and you're just looking to stop that sort of brake dust burning kind of thing. It's brilliant. Not fantastic at degreasing, but as we kind of concluded, not to give away too much on it, you're going to be using a degreaser 2, 3, 4 times on the wheels when you're washing your car anyway. So really, that's what they're saying. You've already got the products you need working elsewhere. You don't need this to be fantastic at repelling grease because you're going to be degreasing stuff anyway.
Yeah.
And I mean, going back to the test we put it through for the matrix, the test we put it through on there. This wasn't a test to say this should stand up to a bloke with a Vican brush scrubbing away your car,
And that's exactly what happened.
which is literally exactly what happened. Is even the right brand of brush there.
It was exactly the right brand.
I mean, you guys camped out in the car to watch it happen.
We did do some
Candid
sort of
photos.
Pink Panther sneaking around the car park trying to get some photos.
But the point of this was never to call out, oh God, no, it doesn't stand up to a Vica brush. I can't think of any ceramic coating that would really realistically stand up to this kind of abuse.
I don't think any protection product would. If you had PPF on there, the PPF would be knackered.
Oh God, yeah.
So,
But this was a case of let's see what it does, how easy it is to get to fix it afterwards. See if there's anything that can be done more in a broader ceramic coating sense. So you see a lot of the self-healing coatings and everything. Pour boiling water over there. In theory, a lot of ceramic coatings will do that if they're young enough. Didn't work on this because it was quite incredible the amount of damage that one man with a cigarette in his mouth and a Vicam brush can do to an otherwise perfect surface.
Another thing to note as well is that we know that bird lime is an issue on ceramic coatings. We've shown it in the previous mega tests when we tested the dealership coatings. We know that bird lime etching is a thing.
The one thing we don't know on this, we haven't got a benchmark to what it would have been like without the coating on there.
Yeah, there is that.
From our etch coatings we did before back in issue 9. Was it?
9,
something
I
like
think.
that.
10,
Yeah, no, that's right. It was on the dealership coatings.
Yeah.
We made some artificial, or rather, John supplies with some artificial.
Yes, John Hogg sent us
bird
some
poo.
Dangerous stuff.
And some of the acids we were using on the paint there literally stripped the paint off.
Yeah.
So that there's quite a lot of, yes, we can criticise there being an etch mark or two in the coating, but that goes no way to how bad it would have been without a coating on there in the first place. For you could be back to bare metal.
So we can't really say that it didn't protect because we'd have to have a
control
panel.
Yeah.
But
and I think undoubtedly it did protect.
Yeah,
because I've got no doubt that even the scratching that was bad on there
would have been way worse.
Would have been irreparable. Well, not irreparable rather, not irreparable, but very difficult and more than I could be frankly bothered to do on that car a second time around.
Yeah. So generally speaking,
so just sell the car basically. Is what we're doing now. Anyone wants to buy an A5?
Hasn't got death rattle. Ignore
that. So I mean, in summary, it's
great product. In my
was
opinion.
in winter.
Yeah. Hey. But it's something.
A great product. I think that for the market that they will indefinitely be aiming for, it's going to be an absolutely
the only
bestseller.
people that can mess up this product is AutoSmart themselves potentially.
In terms of who they supply it
exactly,
to.
They do need to, as much as yes, you're a chemical supplier, you need to be shifting products, and that's where you make your money. If the brand itself is destroyed because you've given it to 10, 15 garages who have either poured it on and it's all crystallised, or just not bothered to put it on, then just put the aftercare kit in the boots, then
they're going to get the same problems that the likes of GTEC have with Platinum.
Well,
and Autoglim, the Lifeshine stuff, that's got such a reputation of dealerships not actually applying it in the first place.
Yeah.
So people don't trust it anymore, even though the actual product itself, no problem with it.
The problem is the key is in the training, and once you've done the training, the
key's in the turnover. It's staff turnover. After.
Well, that's it as well, because a lot of these dealerships run on high turnover, 0 hours contracts. There's very low retention.
Well, it's because it doesn't pay well, so it draws in
doesn't
modern people.
Not pay well. I mean, it's over minimum wage for a lot of the places. The problem you've got is minimum wage and it's a whole different topic. But minimum wage and living wage are two very different things. The issue is the fact that the dealerships themselves, the staff at the dealerships, they hold no value over the staff doing that.
There is a hierarchy there, and you need to jump on a salesman tells you needs a car prepped.
As you guys know, that's where I started out. And you have, I'm going to say it, you have a jumped up salesman that's got to sell 35 Renault Clios in a day. You'll like the dirt on the bottom of his shoe. And they make you feel that way. If you can't do exactly what they want yesterday, they'll rip you to shreds.
And equally with the bigger groups, when you're looking at corporate, they're attributing their overheads because margins are supposedly so thin.
They literally have a sheet with number of cars washed and how much it's cost them. That's literally all they see. It was and it was the same at Aston Martin, believe it or not. It's like, well, we've done 24 service washes today and 3 valets and 2 machine polishing jobs. That's all they see. They don't see the fact that there's only 2 of us that have done that, and we've been run ragged, low on products, low on equipment.
Yeah,
and that's the issue with this product. Well, that's the potential issue, is that if it ends up going down that rabbit hole of mass sales at dealerships, it could harm the reputation of what we see is actually an extremely good product. If they sell it to professional valeters, professional detailers, they'll do really well. And I hope that's the way they go. But we don't know. We'll see.
Time will tell. Which brings us on to the meat of the issue, which is the mega test for this issue.
Donuts.
Are you looking at picture Boris Johnson as well?
No, I'm looking at the. He is a donut, though, isn't he?
I'm looking at that and then worrying about copyright.
I like donuts.
We have focused on glazes, all-in-ones and glazes.
This was heavy, wasn't it?
It was.
This was a heavy one.
It was a serious one for the first time in quite a while. I've been tasked with writing the kind of the meat of this particular mega test. Why am I repeating that word so often? I don't know.
Meat.
Yeah, I haven't had any in weeks.
Not what I've heard.
But what we really wanted was to, the last mega test was very much on heavy cut compounds, which lends itself more to the professional detailer or highly experienced enthusiast. This is a product that anyone can use. This is a
One
product
for the driveway, lads.
Exactly. So we wanted to kind of appeal to a different audience with this. And equally, it's something that, frankly, even professionals will occasionally use as time savers or if the job.
King of the one stage, me, pal.
Yes. And so we went back to testing quite a few products. We got to 30 in the end.
Yeah, we were hoping for about 12.
Yeah, originally we thought about 12. And then between us, we counted up ones that we wanted to be in there. Then we asked our followers on Facebook and Insta and all the rest of it and got probably another sort of 30 or 40 suggestions.
The problem is with the last mega test is we were quite undersubscribed with the heavy cuts.
Yes.
There were loads of like big guns that we'd not missed but didn't respond to our request.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these are independents, we literally got 98% of the ones that we were asked for, that we asked for, or the readers asked to see.
Well, the nice thing is the manufacturers responded. So we ended
there
up
are
being
some that we were missing though.
Yes.
The Auto Bright Cherry Glaze, a lot of people wanted to see that.
Yeah,
we just physically didn't have time to get it.
Auto Finesse Tipple or Triple?
Triple. Auto Finesse Triple. Again, just physically didn't have time to get all of it or fit it in. But yeah, it was hard work, and a couple of comments online were that readers wanted to see how it was on older paint, because we often do it. We get sucked into the whole sort of UHS, VHS, new type of clear coats. VHS, not Betamax.
Well, we learned our
British
lesson
Home
with a
Stores.
heavy cut compound when we were testing the heavy cuts, and suddenly the only medium cut in the field appeared to be performing best until we decided to change paint types, or at least add additional paint types.
Yeah. So luckily the Renault existed. And
yes.
the Renault
it still does, and it's still available for sale, but we'll get onto that later.
The Renault had oxidised, what's the colour?
Shetland green.
Shetland green.
Sea frost.
Sea
foam brown.
It's a lovely colour, and
it really is now. It's a very nice colour.
At only $3,995.
Yeah, it's like a sky blue turquoisey green. So we had that. We had a car with oxidised single stage paint, and the key to this was hand applied.
Yes, that was a qualifying factor. So there were a lot of products. There are some products there that are predominantly like, for example, the Cote Chimie, which is most would apply by machine, but it had to say on the label or directly from the manufacturer that this could be applied by hand, which ruled out a lot of the finer cut and finishing compounds, because it was very much a
lot of cocks there.
Yeah.
Did I?
Yeah.
Your Freudian slipped inside your mother.
But yeah, I don't know quite where I was going.
So
yeah, had to be I'd be put off my game.
Terrible banter.
So yes, this has to be something that you can apply by hand at home on your car, be it simple old school paint or be it modern UHS.
And the other brief was that it had to be what we would normally class as a glaze. So something that you would put on to shine up the car, in simplest terms, shine up the car and add something in the terms.
You're adding the shine rather than creating the shine.
Well, just a product that would give shine and protection by hand.
Yes.
And that's shine, let it shine.
And so we focused on three key areas. One was the kind of correction ability of it, because again, it's not the primary purpose, but AIOs have mild abrasives in. Then there was the filling element, which is really the kind of the crux of the glaze, is the kind of the filling ability. And then the final bit was the protection. And so we were kind of quite a broad range of products. Some of them describe themselves as glazes and didn't have any claims to protection or any claims to correction. And then some of them claim to correct your paintwork, fill everything, and offer long-lasting protection. So there was a bit of a snorkers board in there. Anywho,
Snorkers board.
Snorker bird.
A snorker board. Is that like a board of sausages?
Snorkers, what
No,
a
you need
smorgasbord, you mean?
Smorgasbord. A board full of smorgers is
That's
what
the
you're
one.
talking about.
I watched the
Snorker
cruel
board is a
scene.
Sounds
board
like-
full of sausages.
Yes.
Snorkasbord sounds like something you can have in the raccoons. Cyril Sneer.
Ah, you on the snorkers board?
So we tested it by hand on the Renault's roof and created a.
Sorry, that's the Renault.
I mean, that's
no, it's not. The
optimistic.
Renault now starts on the button very nicely
Does it?
indeed. Yes,
Does it?
great value at
Does it?
$2,995.
Have either of you heard it run since it's been rebuilt?
In my mind,
I watched a video when we had it.
yes.
That had
Yeah, it
everything.
sounded awesome.
You've ruined it with a fixed exhaust.
Yes, less rorty now.
Another thing we looked at as well, because we think it's quite important with hobby users,
Yes.
is taste.
Smell and usability.
Taste, smell, and usability.
Yep.
Don't taste them. We're only joking.
No, that's what I'm
but
here for.
packaging as well.
I'll stick my tongue in so you don't have to.
Uh,
That was probably not well thought out.
we're
I'm letting this one play all the way through.
Ian and I are quite critical when it comes to packaging, especially squeezy bottle lids and spray triggers.
And all white boxes with random.
I like it.
See, my problem with whiteness is it's very difficult to photograph nicely, which is
Put it on a black background.
Yeah, but then it's
Photographing
inconsistent.
101.
It's consistent.
No,
with
I put
all
it on a
the
green
others.
background.
No,
So that's
because then
really
you
easy when you drop
Do
it
you
on
remember?
everything.
Do you remember when Bert put it in a green light room?
on your request, I'd done them all nicely on a medium grey, and then, oh no, shoot them again in green. Oh yeah, that was a great idea.
Yeah, it worked great. So if you look at, was it issue 11? No, issue 10.
10.
Everything's
It's
got a green
a
tint.
slight hulkness about it.
Yes.
Yeah, so the caps or the squeezy lids, if you're a hobby user, the last thing you want to do is get covered in polish when you're out doing some DIY detailing on a Saturday or a Sunday morning.
Unless it's a very specific fetish.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
some of them smell great.
Well, and
You'd-
some of them,
you'd-
some of
You
them
know, Zymol.
splurted.
I'd happily have a bath in Zymol.
Yes.
Now we're
yeah.
back to the naphtha argument again.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it may
think
be
we.
the solvents I'm addicted to.
Well, no, I mean Zymol. I think it's got vitamin E and
got
butternut
electrolytes.
scotch. Yeah, yeah. No, it's all
What cars
all
crave.
good, honey. No, the Zymol generally, I would be happy to take a bath in too. I mean, not at the same time. That'd be weird.
Yeah,
Only for
that
you.
would be weird.
That would be weird. Yeah, it's like on your own, it's fine. But just to give you a quick rundown, obviously we're not going to go through all the results at this point and stuff like that, but we have got a real range of sort of mixture of trade products right the way to kind of high-end professional products and then everything in between. So I'm going to say as quickly as I possibly can before my voice gives way, which is potentially quite soon, every single product in the test. With the agreement of the others. So we're going to go Autosmart Topaz, Mother's Polishing Glaze, Reaper Detailing Venom, Diamond Bright Seal and Shine, Sonax Final, Expert 60 Resin Polish AM Details Glaze, Steiner Gloss Scara, Wax Planet Nuba Glaze, Valet Pro Purple Passion, Alchemy Dark Matter, Monster Shine Gloss Lock, Zymol Cleaner Wax, Crystal Clean Detail Regloss, Poor Boys Black Hole, Autoglim SRP, Autoglans AIO, Brightmax AIO, Kochimi Lac Polish Grun, Dodo Juice Need for Speed, Gliptone Pro Buff, Cartec Perfect Polish, Vonix V80, Gelson PS57, Soft 99 Micro Liquid Compound, Turtle Wax, Ceramic Acrylic Black Wax, Nanolex SO01, Angel Wax Enigma AIO, Labo Cosmetica Vinegre, and Carpro Essence.
11th one again.
Carpro Essence.
Sorry, I was trying to indicate that I'd muted you whilst he was doing his little monologue thing there.
Oh, am I off mute now?
Sure.
So we treated the top of the Renault and then we used our black panels, which we actually got sprayed a while ago for the new car protection test. And we applied it on there and we invited Sir John of Deleu, Forensic Detailing, who was great. He injected a real energy and a nice third party kind of, I mean, we're all
Frankly,
very,
I think he injected all of the energy by that point because I was about spent.
yeah. No, you,
Just in summary,
Yes.
John's opinion was, yeah, it's pretty good
for everything.
for everything.
But interestingly, we got lots of subjective and then more kind of scientific scores using our row point gizmo, which is really, really cool. Our Glosgonio photometer, more specifically. So we took lots of readings there. And then I asked James, Ian and John to each, in silence, mark each of the kind of the results. And then I took all those
another thing to note as well is we actually wet sanded all of the panels.
Yes.
We were trying to work out a way of
Giving
having
a uniform
having a
madness.
uniform starting point.
Yep.
and having a measurable endpoint. And we tried it with
Probably
1500.
4K at first, and then we went down to 1500.
That was the other way around.
Other way around, yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, we started at 15 and it
And they
didn't do
bugger all,
much.
yeah.
And then we ended up doing 4K on a DA sander, wet, and that got us the results we were after,
Yeah.
more or less, give or take.
So, well, it provided the platform upon which they could almost all make an improvement of some description, and the very weakest products made a very minor improvement, and the stronger ones really made it look pretty good from certain angles. So
Well,
that
now
was
you've just
good.
given away the entire results.
Well, I didn't say which ones were which, did I? And you'll be delighted to hear that in this test, normally in mega tests, we have a habit of, not necessarily saying this is the best overall. We'll
We're
say,
too impartial, just say it.
no, we're not. We will say it's horses for courses. Quite often,
There
there's
is
not
no
one
one
product.
true way.
Yes, that sort of
There
thing.
can be no winner.
But in this test, you'll be delighted to know that we
The
had
winner
a
is the frame of mind.
selection of 3 products that
William
were
Hague there.
commended. Stop interrupting, this is important. 3 products that were commended because we felt that they brought
Turned his
something to
mic
the
off now,
table.
it's fine.
You really have turned my mic off, you bastard.
It's a way to come back in.
Bastard.
Something about gonorrhea? What?
Yeah, okay, they turned my mic off. Anyway, so we had 3 commended products, and all 3 of those are interesting. They're quite specialist and well worth a go, and they might actually be your go-to for certain specific circumstances.
There is no second and third. We had to split second place across 2 products because they were dead level.
They were dead level, but in different ways. That's the key. So
Yeah, but there was there was absolutely no way we could award one of them more than the other because they were both fantastic in their own right, just not as good as first place.
And first place was
By
far and away the
It
best.
By far the best
yeah,
out there.
it was a total standout product. And to me, bear in mind, I'm not a professional detailer by any measure. And I sometimes, when I'm looking at the results the guys doing, the machines are doing, I'm like, okay, well, that's great. That's the results. That's what they feel. They've got a kind of an opinion and a right to that opinion, hard earned over many years. This product I use by hand, by machine. We did it on the Renault big time. And I, to the point where I'm buying a bottle myself.
This consistently came top across all the tests. It didn't just win the scientific element of the test. It won across every single.
Yeah, the subjective part. The only thing that I would slightly mark it down on was the packaging wasn't as inventive as some of the others.
It does smell of Lenore.
It smells exactly like Lenore, and it is Summer Breeze. I've done my research.
Yes, but I like Lenore Summer Breeze.
No, it's different to have something that doesn't smell like your kids are going to drink it and go to hospital. Let's be
There's
honest,
that.
that's one of the most dangerous things in the industry is
You're saying that as if my child wouldn't drink Lenore.
Yeah, to be
Well,
fair,
I mean,
I'd consider it.
it softens your insides.
And what's interesting also, there is kind of flavour-wise, it's kind of a bit nutmeggy. And actually, the stomach pumping didn't hurt that much last time.
Don't root chemicals.
Yeah, don't.
Can we just have a
Anything
shout
to
out?
get a tube put
Can we just
inside
have a
you,
quick
isn't it?
shout out to Ian's depression that the product he wanted has been discontinued because it's not 1998 anymore.
Of the 30 products, we each got one that we could choose with no questions asked. James picked Zymol.
Mine nearly won. Let's be honest.
James
Not
did
being
very
funny,
Finally
but
one.
I still have a couple of bottles of my product in the cupboard, and we tried it on there, and it was fucking awesome. Still,
Yeah,
Yeah, but it's not.
it wasn't
It
a
doesn't
winner.
count. Doesn't count. You can't buy it.
It wouldn't have won.
you can't buy it.
I could have
got
made up my own
connections.
my own polish that would have been better.
And we also had 2 prototype products, which were sent by manufacturers who entered their current product lineup. And the answer is the prototypes were better than the current ones, but actually in the testing that we did, at least, they wouldn't have altered the overall ranking of the winner.
Not only that, you can't go and buy them.
Yet. But by the time that you get round to listening to this, you might be
At
able
time
to.
of print, you can't go and buy them. And
Absolutely.
for us, we want our readers to say, "Oh wow, I'm going to go and try it." So
Yeah.
it's nice to feature them, but we have to.
And to be fair, we did leave printing really, really late, so they had plenty of opportunity.
You've still got a week. You can still get it into production.
This brings us on to the next session. We go into our kind of trader talk area, and wellness is a very popular newish section. And this time we talk about all sorts of things. But Aaron, would you like to?
This
talk
was a
about
really
it?
good one, in my opinion. This
Yeah.
imposter, because I'd never heard of it.
I can't remember where it came up. It was.
You sent me a link and said, "Does this ring
I
any
think
bells?"
this first came up. I was listening to something on radio about it, and it just came up in conversation, imposter syndrome. And then the next week, I saw a link for it on some science journal I was reading, and
He's very
just
well read, isn't he?
snowballed.
As you do.
Yeah.
I say reading.
James and I are just pornography.
I had to put the fish in
Car
something.
pornography.
But no,
yes.
imposter syndrome, and it's quite odd how many chords it did strike with me and with everybody after that I spoke to it about imposter syndrome. How you don't you feel like you somehow don't belong in a career in the medium you're operating in.
Yeah, you basically feel like you're acting in
Yes.
the role that you've got rather than actually doing the role you've got.
A kind of fundamental insecurity that leads to anxiety and all sorts of unpleasantness.
Yeah, and it's going to be. It's not just for people who are mildly insecure or introverted. This happens to everyone, and especially in this industry where there is no hard and fast degree or sign that says, "Oh, you are now a detailer."
Yeah, there is. There's loads.
Yeah, but
You're a master detailer now. You've been here for 2 days.
Well, the best comparison would be imagine lying on your CV saying you're a professional race driver and then suddenly being put on the pit straight lined up next to the likes of Schumacher. Well, Schumacher, you probably beat Schumacher nowadays.
Who have you been talking to?
Ralph.
Ralph. Well,
Hey, Ralph was pretty good.
Probably,
Hey,
yeah,
hey, Ralph held lap records in a BMW for
He's
many,
saying,
many
but he's
years.
saying you might beat Schumacher, so really it's down to Ralph at the moment.
Or Dennis Bergkamp's son, who is a footballer for your reference, and he's just signed for Watford.
Right.
Whereas Dennis Bergkamp was,
Okay.
World Cup player for Holland and Euro Championship winner. And
So
all
you're on the grid. To your left, you've got Fangio.
To the right, you got Dennis Bergkamp. Everything's a little bit confusing, and we come back to talking about a magazine for a change.
And so that's where you get that kind of fear, and you suddenly think, oh, crikey, I probably shouldn't have put professional race driver on my CV. And it's that kind of internal monologue of fear that happens. And
Good
that's
with
what we're talking
roundabouts
about.
would have probably been slightly more accurate.
Until you're taken to Swindon and told to be a taxi driver.
in an A5. Over the roundabout.
The
Straight
magic
over
roundabout.
the roundabout.
I'll go south of the M4, mate.
So yeah.
I don't know. I can't remember now how far I got on the explanation of imposter syndrome, but that's imposter syndrome.
Yeah, read the magazine.
Basically,
Yeah.
It's basically the fear of
being found out for something
Fear
you
of
are
being-
actually quite
yeah.
good at.
basically the fear that you're imposting. You're an imposter in
Posting. Yeah.
Imposting.
And
I had that.
it's only amplified now by, again, we harp on against social media and the illusion of perfect life that it creates.
Yeah.
But everybody out there is showing photos of perfectly finished panels, which may not look perfect in the correct light, but you're thinking, oh, how are they getting these results and I'm not? How are they doing this and I'm not?
Oh, why is this detailer just doing supercars? Because he works Saturdays at a supercar garage.
And he
washing
does it-
them.
and he
And
does it for
amazingly, it's
free.
the only one that he bothers to photograph.
Yes.
He washes them
Washing.
and takes photos at good angles. In reality, he's done a 20-minute job.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's about getting out of your head and into the frame of mind that actually we're all in this boat together to a certain extent, and don't take what you see on social media and what people are telling you.
Have belief in your
With a
own
pinch of salt.
skills.
Yeah. Social media is mostly lies.
And go off the feedback from customers, not people online. Customers
Yes.
are the ones that are paying the bills, not
Damn
followers.
Yeah.
One like, one prayer.
Hot shingles in your area.
Hot shingles.
It was the shed. It was the shed sale.
And the next one was dermal barriers, which linked nicely into the helping hands.
Can I just say,
article.
I spent almost half an hour on that graphic.
It's
I
a
can
nice
tell.
graphic.
I think I spent the other half an hour trying to spell transappendigeal.
You did well.
Well, we
Yeah.
got freebies.
I can write
from
it. I
cosmetics
can't
companies.
pronounce it.
We got some freebie hand like rubbing stuff, which was fun too.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
then we had to knock that off because you forgot about an advert.
Oh yeah, there was that. Yeah.
So that's not in there. So let's not mention that.
Okay, that's
But
not.
we had some hand creams to try as barrier creams, repairing hand creams.
Mhm. Don't work on hemorrhoids. That's the point. I need to give you my tester back again. I'll finish with it now.
I don't want it. But yeah, we basically talk about the use of chemicals and how they damage our hands and how people should be wearing gloves all the time, and even when they are wearing gloves, they should use hand cream because your hands get damp and sweaty in gloves.
Just not on the gloves. You put it on the hands first, then use the gloves. Don't put the hand cream on the gloves. It doesn't work.
And it's
The gloves do become nice and soft.
yeah, that's a
At
strange
which point,
image.
at which point
Hands
you're going to
cov-
put a
rubber
a
gloves
pearl
covered in-
bracelet on and meet
Rubber
the
gloves
contessa.
covered in cream is a strange image.
And we're back to hemorrhoids.
But we basically talk about how solvents and detergents can strip the oils out of your skin and start to damage the very important part of our dermal layers. Average.
So
you went scary Mary Berry there.
I did. It's my natural
Oh,
state.
look at the layers.
Scary berry.
Scary berry. It's a Ben and Jerry's flavour, isn't it?
Gin and berries. And then we've got...
Well, we just zipped
Interview
through.
with Soft 99.
Yeah, with Damien, who we've also done a video interview, which is on YouTube back in Germany when they launched the Fuso Mark II. And we also have an interview with Detailing Girl as well earlier on in the magazine. So lots of interviews in this mag.
At Detailing Girl.
At Detailing Girl, my bad. Then we have a graphic representation of a Ford Transit with a curious looking chap on the back of it.
Yeah, well done for all those who spotted Bert's Crime Stoppers advert. He still hasn't been found.
He has a beard now. A beard.
Yeah, but I
And
have to
less
keep
hair.
on making it bigger and smaller.
Less
'cause-
hair.
Yeah, his hair's migrated onto his face.
from my forehead.
He's
Down-
still black.
down.
He's still black and white though, so that's okay.
God, I miss being a teenager. Anyway, so we have a van build, which is with Andrew Southall, and that's fascinating, particularly if you're a professional valeter or mobile detailer, etc., etc. He's built up his van from dot and given a photo step-by-step guide and all sorts of things you should consider. So well worth a read. The next article is a big one, which is promoting your car care business. So with my PVD hat on, I spend a lot of time helping members promote their business through sort of conventional and non-conventional routes, and so I thought we'd write about it. It's actually part of a two-part article because I got to many thousands of words.
Bert's got a little private aircraft with a banner that he flies over town centres with business names on.
Yes, absolutely.
Cronk it out.
It's great. Those F-18s keep chasing me. But the whole idea is if you are running business, and frankly, this applies to anyone offering who's a kind of owner-operator of a local-based business. So it's not just car care professionals.
Not necessarily local to us.
Not necessarily
local to them.
Yeah, you can be outside of Gloucestershire if you must. But the idea is how can you...
You mean like you are?
Yeah, I'm
living in
Wiltshire.
Swindon.
I've ascended
That was
to
Swindon.
Wiltshire. No, Wiltshire.
Pilchard.
Pilchard. That's all right.
Let's
He
not
lives, he
start
lives in
this
the
again.
Swindon suburbs. It's
He's only acting Charlie Big Potatoes because they're green on the COVID map now.
Oh, yes.
And we're
No
dark
one's
blue.
been infected in my little village because there are only
There's
three of
nobody
us
in your
here.
little village.
Yeah.
Either that or they've all died already.
Well, the old people have died off. Yeah,
Because
it's
they
great.
think, oh, wait, no, let's go to that little village. Oh, God, no, it's in Swindon. Oh,
Oh, God.
Not
Ooh.
in Swindon.
what's your postcode?
The same
What's
postcode as
postcode?
most of Wiltshire.
What is your postcode?
Okay, so is Salisbury in Swindon? Because that's an SA, isn't it? Damn it.
What's
Sorry,
your postcode start with?
An S.
And
And that's all you need to know.
SN.
There is an N somewhere in there, possibly.
It's Snindon.
Okay, but that's by the by. So we talk about SEO. Do we talk about
by the
SEO? No,
M4
SEO is
actually.
in part 2. Yeah, you can see the M4 from my bedroom window. That's why I picked it.
You can feel it.
You
You can feel it in the garage.
Yes, the whole thing shakes. But it was cheap. So that's well worth a read anyway. We then briefly hit a article written very kindly by Steve Miller of Valetpro fame, which is about Brexit. Subtext
Of the Steve Miller Band.
of the Steve Miller Band variety.
Brother of Edward Miliband.
Yes, absolutely. Former VP or something of BMW GP.
Who?
Steve?
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, I told you repeatedly. I thought you'd be a bit bored of it, but you're being sarcastic. So what's interesting is this was written before
I was
the
wondering when
Brexit,
you're going to get into that.
before the Brexit thing, and now we're in the Brexit thing, and we have experienced issues. Both-
Brexit means Brexit. Don't complain.
yeah, no, well,
Brexit means Brexit.
Yeah, well, I probably shouldn't have voted, but the point being is that I know importers here are struggling to get raw materials to make stuff. I know that they're also end users are struggling to buy stuff from Europe, and we know exporting is getting quite hard work too. So
Hopefully, it's only a temporary thing whilst they iron things out.
I don't think they're going to let us back at this point.
No, but they might allow us to start buying from European shops again. I
Well,
can't see that they're going to
If we
keep
had
stop us
any
forever.
money, yeah. Well, hey, we'll see.
On a side note, though, new trade deal with Japan. Yay for crazy packaging! Yay!
On another side note, the 10% import tax that they put on JDM cars or Japanese cars for UK market's been dropped by the EU too. So there's no commercial advantage there.
But yay for crazy packaging.
Yay for crazy packaging. Let's focus on that, shall we?
Smooth eggs for everyone.
Not again.
And dirty underwear vending machines, which is apparently a thing as well.
Hey, we've got pizza vending machines in the UK now.
Have
It's
we?
called Domino's.
No,
No.
that's
No,
not
no.
a vending machine. I've been there. There are
No,
people.
these are like genuine pizza vending machines where you go up, choose your pizza, put money in, and then it just slides out of a drawer.
I'm gluten intolerant now. I can't have pizzas, so thanks.
Well, sucks for you.
Yeah,
I'll eat yours. I'll eat yours.
really does. Anyway, show us a shop we did with Peter Davis, which is a quick look round at a detailer studio. Again, a
Our
bit of
mate
fun.
Peter.
And
we're going to have a quick interlude, I think.
we're going to have a quick interlude. So see you later. So now we are looking at the tail end of issue 12, and this is primarily our showcase write-up. So we've taken since issue 11 the idea of getting our own car or buying a car, which we did in this case specifically, to go to town in a detailing kind of way on it. So this time we bought a 1988 Renault 5. It is a 1.4 TR, which big
1.2.
news. 1.2. It is a 1.2.
It's 1.2. Checks on the V5.
Yeah.
Life would be much simpler if it was a 1.4.
Yes.
In many, many CV related ways.
If there's anybody out there that's holding a pair of CV joints for a 1.2 Renault 5, 1989, 1988, please get in touch
Yes.
desperately.
We're waiting for some from Germany.
The irritating thing is that on the box fan version of it, it's that you can find it easily. It's just for the normal hatchback. Nothing is actually listed for it, but it's not the same.
Anyway, part woes aside, we decided to get this sort of cooking model because we couldn't afford a turbo, and we bought it quite cheap, but it was a good solid car in terms of, well, I mean, there's a bit of rust and stuff, but we fixed all that. It's a cooking model. It's not an exciting car. It's not a car that even when new people lusted after. But we felt it was a car we could add a lot of value to with
It's
little
cool,
more.
but cool bit of retro chic now.
It is. It's a kind of hipster cool now, I fear. And so we spent about 2.5 weeks overall, I guess, working on it. Not full time, but we put a lot of effort into it. Stripped out the interior, did a lot of work there. We even took the engine out, partly to change things like head gaskets and valves and stuff, but also primarily to do the engine bay and the engine itself, clean that up really nicely.
Recolouring all the plastics.
Recoloured plastic, that was very
Had
cool.
RAM up for that from Colour Lock.
Indeed. James has just put the football on his
Sorry.
phone. He's that bored.
I'm not bored. It's just, football.
It's football. Who
Oh,
do you
are we
support
losing?
again? Oh, I don't care.
We don't mention who we support. It's not fashionable
you
anymore.
both support Arsenal, don't you? And are you like third division now or Vauxhall Conference?
Jesus, have you seen football in the last 25 years?
No, it used to interfere with me watching Gladiators.
You'll
when
be
I sat
talking
there
about
with him in the
Johnson
90s.
Paints League next.
I love the thing that Vauxhall can still afford to sponsor a division.
Well, I always got confused because it's also a place in London that you go through.
Funnily enough, guess who originated there?
Was it your football team?
Hang on a minute, I've actually got that one.
That's incredible knowledge of manufacturers and where they're from.
Yeah,
They're in Ellesmere Port now, aren't they? Mostly.
Well, they're going to go back to France soon.
What? Vauxhall?
Well, yes. Well, because they're owned by PSA.
What?
What?
they?
Vauxhall or GM?
No.
Yes.
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 No, GM sold them
When?
like last year.
No, they did they've done a model collaboration thing with PSA,
No, they sold them.
but that just brings down
Look,
the
I'm
overall
gonna have to
quality of PSA.
You have to get Google at it. That's why the Vauxhall Corsa is a Peugeot 208. It's been sold wholesale to them because they've got factories in Germany.
So let's hang
that
on.
we're buying over
This
here.
is getting way off topic. But can we just? So how many cars are based on the Peugeot 208 now? Because you've got the BMW Mini, allegedly. Maybe.
Well, the engines.
Or has
I
that
thought were-
changed now?
No, I thought it's just
Is
the
that all
engines.
BMW now?
No, they just did
Well,
engine
no, they just
shares
did
on that.
the Tritec engine in it, didn't they?
Yeah, it was.
Oh,
engine
no,
shares.
no.
R56 onwards.
Yeah,
the
so
Tritec engine.
yeah, now it's actually a BMW again because it's got the 1.5 out of the i8 in it.
Right. Yes.
Very cool engine.
Very cool engine, but slightly less output than it does have in the i8. But no, it's owned by PSA. It truly is. Because GM flogged it, and there was a big kerfuffle because they feared that if they did sell it entirely to PSA, then all the jobs
There's a big
would go
kerfuffle
abroad.
because they sold it as a perfect company, and after a year, the paint on Vauxhall's actually gone pink. So
Well,
Who
there
needs
was
to
that.
lacquer cars in 2006?
Yeah, well, quite.
So old-fashioned.
Which is sad because I rather like the Insignia now. The
Oh,
particular
shut up.
give over.
Sports Tourer, I think it's quite a sexy looking car.
No, actually,
Sports Tourer
I'll
does
have
look
to. I'll have to agree with you on that. The
Yeah.
new, brand new Insignia Sports Tour is actually very nice.
Yeah, it's a
The
good
old
looking
one,
car.
it's not even worth mentioning.
Yeah, well, I love my
haven't
Astra
looked at the
van.
Vauxhall range since 2012.
Yeah, and the lights on the
even
new
then you
Astra are
didn't
very
Oh
good.
yeah, that's why I stopped.
Yeah.
You had a Frontera though.
Yes, that was no, I didn't actually. I had an Isuzu.
No, you had a Frontera. Don't.
Oh yeah, it was an Isuzu Frontera.
No, it was a Frontera.
Was it?
Did you put Isuzu badges on it? Just
Aren't
to
they
be one
called
of
a
them?
Moo?
No, there's an
Mobile
Isuzu
use-
engine in it.
Yeah, but so did my Disastra.
My Disastra had the GM one in the 1.7 CDTI, which was nice.
Yeah, mine had a proper 1.7 Isuzu in it, 8 valve.
Which was the
The
DTI. was it?
3.2 V6 because that's the proper Isuzu engine in the Vauxhall.
No, the 1.7. It was put in most forklifts.
So this Renault, we spent a long time on it. We used obviously the paint for some of the mega tests, but then we went over with the mega test winner on the whole lot. And for once, I actually got involved with doing some of the machine polishing. It wasn't like proper machine polishing; it was applying a glaze by machine. But and that was very satisfying. We restored a lot of grey plastic, and we actually mixed solution finish black or conventional solution finish with solution finish fusion grey to create exactly the right tint, and it came out really nicely. We replaced a hubcap, which was fun. The rear parcel shelf had a suit holder because business people in the 80s obviously drove Renault 5. I mean, not very good business people, but kind of middle
That's
of the
why they
road
had to
business people.
take the suit with them.
Yes, exactly. They were actually selling suits.
He's the one standing at the back. The boss always threw the coffee at, so he had to go downstairs and change halfway through the day.
Yes.
And he also had to change back into his bread delivery clothes between meetings.
Well, in those days, we all sweated and smoked, didn't we? It was a good time. Anyway, so read up about that. We did a lot of pages on that. I can't remember, about 16 or 20 pages, something like that.
Yeah, just an interesting thing about the design, because we do actually spend a bit of time designing this magazine and
Yes, well, you do.
researching into stuff.
I write words, you make it pretty.
The
I
overall
have great
design, the
ideas.
palette, the shape layout, everything like that is actually based on an advert from the 1970s for
Renault.
for Citroen. For Citroen,
In-
Renault adverts in the 70s and 60s were butt ugly and awful. Citroen have always been awesome at design.
Somewhere there's a French
that's why we
designer
copied them.
Somewhere there's a French designer screaming inside that used to work for Citroen.
No, he's probably died of smoking a long time ago. But now, of the
To be fair,
French
there's
cars...
probably a German designer that used to work for Citroen.
Yeah.
Finished to design stuff.
So of the brands, James, quick question. If you were forced, and it's not about models, it's about overall...
BMW,
No, Renault, Citroen or Peugeot.
Peugeot, without a doubt.
Ian. Renault,
Well-
Citroen or Peugeot.
Citroen.
You see, I'm Citroen too. I thought we were going to have the big triple because I thought you were going to go Renault
No, because we've got a capture, so that's why I'm not promoting Renault because it's shit.
Because I'm halfway between Citroen and Peugeot, which is handy that
No,
PSA is the
Citroen
same.
have always been fantastic. My mother also had French and used to have a Citroen C6 as his company car, and that was ridiculously luxurious.
Yes, so
Had
comfy.
so many tricks on it.
And
Problem is, Peugeot sold out, didn't they? They sold out in like 2006, and they started producing like cheap. In fact, the 307,
was terrible.
307 and the 407 were just awful. 406, incredibly good car.
Incredibly good, and
Okay,
in many
but-
different ways because the estate was really good. and
Yeah, my
practical.
brother's still got one now.
With a
and it's
2-litre
brilliant.
HDI going forever. Then you've got the coupe, which they did.
Great cars.
Great cars. Did they do the 2.7 HDI V6 and that was at the 407?
It was 407.
Yeah.
The 3-litre V6 petrol was in the 406
Yeah.
Coupe.
Okay,
Gorgeous.
but look at current models. What in the Peugeot range, not counting the fact, a GTI or anything else, but just on the car shape in general and the overall aesthetic, what Peugeot would you have currently?
That new
308.
Weird, no, that new weird kind of crossover, and I hate crossovers. The latest Peugeots are incredibly nice looking cars.
Yeah, I agree.
They do a mid-sized crossover.
3008 or 5008, I
It's-
think.
Yeah, one of those. I think it's not 5 because they're massive, aren't they?
Big ear.
But
What about the Renault?
Renault, it would have
I
to
know.
be.
Well, the McGann
It'd
Cup,
be-
but that's a
Yeah,
different.
if we're not
The
going
Kadjar,
for.
the Kadjar, the top end model of the Kadjar is actually quite nice inside.
Don't they do one above that? What's the bigger one?
Yeah, the Kaleos, is it?
No,
Kalos.
Kalos is not. Oh, it might be.
They
Oh no, I'm thinking of there's a Kia or a Hyundai Kalos, which was little tiny.
Kalos. Oh yeah, no, that's the
Yeah, that's different.
the Chevrolet Kalos.
That's it, which was a Daewoo. No, shh, not Daewoo.
I moved a double mattress in back of one of those once.
How did you move it?
I
What were you doing?
I folded it up and stuffed it in there.
Sorry, come on.
Oh, you're watching the blooming football. So somebody has scored against Arsenal by the looks.
No.
Okay, well I'll just say yes. But yeah, no, Citroen's though. I mean,
Citroen though, DS
Oh,
Like,
so
the entire
many
DS
BX.
range are fantastic.
Yeah, but the thing is, I always see DS as a different
I quite like
a different brand.
Quite
It's a
like
bit
the
like
Cactus crossover.
and Seat and Cupra because they've split them up now.
That's true. Yeah. Well, I mean, hell, Infinity, Nissan, all the rest of it. But in terms of what's been the most innovative Renault, all I can think of is Aventine and Velsatis. I can't think of any innovative Renaults. Whereas,
Apart from the F1s,
well, yeah,
fairly innovative.
well,
Yeah,
careful.
but,
James
you
is
know.
going to talk about how he got an F1 to wax stock Renault thing, and that's going to.
Yeah, but I could also talk about the X5 that had the Le Mans engine put in it from BMW. Now that is something special.
Yes. Well,
In
what
terms
about
of
the
the most
Espace? They did an Espace with an F1 underpinnings.
I
Like
think-
the Ford did.
Regardless of which one you go for, the most innovative is always going to be Citroen.
Yes, I'd agree
Is
with
it though? Because the Renault in the old days were the first to have digital dashboards, and they had talking things in the Renault 7
Citroen
CL.
SM
did the
Maserati was the first
Maestro.
one to have rain detecting wipers, which was based on the motor resistance. It was
Mhm.
quite cool. It had bendy headlights.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that came in with the DS.
It had the hydrogas uppy downy.
Yeah, DS19 again had all
Is
of
it
those
hydrogas?
things.
It's not hydrogas.
Hydrolastic.
Hydrolastic. Yeah, hydrogas
it.
is MG, isn't it?
It saved de Gaulle, which is bizarre because we saved de Gaulle, and then he screwed us when it came to try and get into the EU in the days when we wanted to be in the EU, and then assassination attempts and the DS saved him. So he's been saved twice and let us down once.
Renault 5 Turbo 1. That was pretty special.
That's pretty cool.
Turbo 2, obviously, I've got a
Yeah,
special
a
relationship
soft
with.
spot for a hard spot sometimes.
But then you've got the Peugeot.
Traction's always going to be cool.
Traction Avant.
But then you've got the Peugeot, which was infinitely better.
What, the T15?
205 T16. It was out of this world.
Yeah,
And for me, the Peugeots won the hot hat race every single time.
yeah.
There wasn't a single hot hatch that could rival the equivalent Peugeot ever. In my
Okay, James,
opinion.
your favourite Peugeot hot hatch?
The one you've just sold.
106 Rally S2 in Indigo.
Okay, mine is a 309, which is actually a Talbot underneath.
Renault hot hatch. Williams one.
Peugeot
Peugeot.
hot hatch. Somebody's got to say a 205 1.9 GTI because that's a cool thing to say, but I don't believe so. Not that I've driven one. I've driven a 1.6.
They're pretty average, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
A friend of mine had a few of them. The
Oh,
1.6 was good because it had hit the limiter in fifth gear, and it
Yeah.
was nippy. The 1.9 was fast, but really the MI16 engine should have come in that car from standard.
Yes, 405 MI16 was gorgeous.
Incredible car. My
Yeah.
mate Nick, hi Nick, lives in America. He had a 405 MI16 Le Mans,
Mm-hmm.
which he then sold to our other mate Alan, and that was insane. That car. It was only, I think, there were 170 horsepower, 6-speed, and it just went. It was ballistic.
Well, I think
Yeah.
for me, it's going to be a Peugeot 306 1.9 diesel.
Fascinating.
Second fastest car on the planet.
Which
Yes,
one though?
true story.
Which one?
I
Because
don't-
it was the D Turbo Red S that was the best one, wasn't it?
Well, there are
they're generally in that sort of navy metallic blue with tinted out rear quarter windows.
That's HDI.
yeah, because
HDI 110 three door.
No, they never did a 110 in a 306 HDI. They did the 90 without the intercooler. I had two of them, and I absolutely adore them. And the D Turbo, there was more of a spec level by the HDI time. You had Cyclone 15-inch wheels off the GTI 6, and it had sport seats and various other bits and bobs. But the 1.9 diesel wasn't the HDI. That was more tunable. And their D Turbo meant something because they had done something. So the D Turbo 1.9 was a bit faster than non-D
The
Turbo.
D Turbo S was incredible. I
There's
remember.
one. There's one crucial fact you can always tell which one it is. They come and stand with a twat behind the wheel that will overtake an Arctic lorry on a blind bend in on a country lane.
Yes,
That's how you know it's that car.
that's always the 1.9.
His name's Trevor.
Yeah.
He's a bellend. Trevor, if you're listening, you're a bellend.
I love my 306. I'm sad
Yeah.
it's gone, but I absolutely adored that.
Oh,
car.
I have fond memories. Although I got into a 306 because Ian had a 306 that actually his parents bought new or something, and he kept driving it until he was
Yeah.
about 100 years old, and I borrowed it for some reason. And either I've got taller rather, and less manoeuvrable than I was because I tried drive. Well, I did drive it.
You got horizontally taller.
It was yes, it was a squeeze. Whereas I, as a sales rep, I clocked up over 120,000 miles in the same car as a sales rep, and
And that was in 1997, so it was the new.
yeah, it was
Peugeot
phase
306.
2.
Yeah.
Oh,
See,
was
mine
yours
were
a
both-
HDI though?
Mine were both phase 3 HDIs.
So you had the sport seats, which
Yes.
are lower and deeper. If Ian's didn't have those,
No,
that's
mine was
why
a
it feels-
1.6.
So that's why it feels higher and shorter.
Ah, that's fascinating. Well, I broke down in mine when a bearing went at Strengths Services, and this would have been about 2005.
I broke down in mine every time I was seen out in public.
Yeah, but you're more emotional.
Mentally.
And the AA came and said, we're not going to let you drive this. No, it's the RSC in those days before they sacked me off for being too unreliable. And
You got sacked
yeah,
as a member
yeah,
of the AA.
yeah. They said, well, I was on my family membership, and they basically said, we're not covering. I had something like 11 call-outs.
Wow.
In 3 months, and
Wow.
and bear in mind, I most of them required recovery. One
It's
of them,
when you ring the call centre and they go, all right, Bert, your mum's.
pretty much that. I had one where the high pressure
me private line here.
diesel pump split, and I put diesel all over the high street in Crawley at rush hour on a Monday morning.
Worst things have happened in Crawley.
It's true. That's true. I didn't have any disease by the end of it, but the irony was I managed to stick it back together just before the AA arrived. I said, I think that's what caused it. I fixed it. He looked at it. I think you have. He drove off with his flashing lights, busting through traffic. I hovered behind him as if I was being towed, so people got out my way. I was that close. I wasn't being towed
You were
at all.
tailgating an AA van.
Yeah, in order to pretend to being towed.
Is it BMW that had the SOS button?
Oh,
Yeah.
many cars do nowadays.
Yeah.
Does that just connect through straight to the AA, or
No, it goes to BMW SOS.
it doesn't go to Castrol or something?
What
No,
do they try and
goes
upsell
to
you?
BMW SOS.
Have you
Yeah, it's
considered
just-
getting some
have you-
big
have you-
alloy
have you
wheels?
pressed
I'm
it
currently
before?
upside down burning in my
it's
3
a-
Series.
It's a subscription service, and the
I know Range Rover have
7
got it as well,
Series.
and Jag had it. Jag Assist.
so 7 Series went to almost like a security business.
Okay.
So if you had a 7 Series and you pressed SOS, it was a different.
Different
It was
person.
like pulling
not-
the pin out of a Breitling.
There's not. Yeah, it's different. Oh, I've got a flat on my E60, or
I'm
help
being,
me, I'm in a 7 Series.
I'm
Yeah.
being pursued by international terrorists.
Well,
What is your name? Mugabe.
What car is it where they sent a helicopter out? One of
Oh,
the
was it-
supercars.
It was McLaren F1, and you had because you had a computer in the early McLaren. Well, in
I was
McLaren
about to say they
F1s.
stopped doing that in McLaren. It's cost them too fucking much.
Yeah. Stop swearing in. But you had like the bit where you can you opened up the side of it. Not that I ever had one, obviously, and it had a SIM card in. It could actually talk to the factory, and basically they said it gave full diagnostics. From what I heard, it basically said broken, car broken.
It was just a.
Yeah. You spent £1 million getting the car, so you wanted
Phone
to.
rings. Rowan.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, it's
Are
me
you upside
again.
down in a ditch?
How's that tree? Chewy.
How's the insurance company paying out for
They
the
fixed
rebuild?
that, you know.
They did,
fixed
yeah.
that
Yeah,
car.
he had him over the barrel.
I remember seeing that on
1.2
the
or
new-
something like that, was it?
Oh, I remember seeing it on the front of the newspaper when I was a kid, and it was just like,
As a kid, it only happened 4 or 5 years ago.
no, it didn't.
What? Rowan Atkinson's crash?
Yeah.
It was like,
That was,
it was like
that was the
91.
mid-90s, yeah.
Yeah, it was. It was when it first came out because the McLaren F1 was in the Need for Speed that I played at the time, which was on like PlayStation 1. So it must have
Okay,
been like
well, he's-
95.
He's crashed something more expensive more recently then because
Was it a Mini? Was he driving
Well,
it
it
from
might-
the
No,
roof
it
in an
might-
armchair with a broom out of one hand?
I saw him in an RS6 actually. He used to
It
drive
might,
an
have,
RS6.
it might have been his W16 Phantom.
Uh,
He's got a W16 Phantom. It's the only one in the world.
I don't know, but it was one where he had managed to get the insurance company, even though they said, right, it's a write-off, he managed to get the insurance company, I'm Googling this, to pay up for restoration. And he
Brings out
basically,
his typewriter.
it was more than, how
you
do you spell
Google?
Rowan?
ROWAN.
That's it.
How do
Mine's
you
auto,
spell it?
well, my auto completion thing, Atkinson, car accident.
Well, McLaren F1 accident is the one we want to see, isn't
But
it?
yeah, it's true, just in case he's a serial accident. Apparently he's quite a good driver.
My mum and dad have both just got their vaccination.
Oh,
Oh, that's
congrats.
good work.
Well
Are
done.
they going to have a vaccination party where they just go around to everybody's house
Just
coughing?
lick them. Just going to go licking people.
Mr. Bean crashes McLaren F1 twice. Oh, okay, so he's done it twice. So the second
Ah.
time was in 2015.
One careful
When
owner.
was the first
Well,
one?
careful, owner. First time in 1990. Hang on, where you were, British comedian. No, I think he purchased it in 97.
Okay, so it must have been late
And
late
they got
90s.
Two serious. Yeah, in 1999, drove into the back of a Rover Metro.
Yeah, it was when he was coming off the motorway, off a slip road.
He caused damage to the bonnet. Yeah, and then he's, despite being 18 years old, costing around £500,000. Atkinson paid
That aged well.
£640. Yeah, yeah, and he also has a 250 GTO Berlinetta apparently.
Anyway, back to the magazine.
Yeah.
We've kind of gone a bit tangent here.
Yeah.
Hey,
Well, I
I'm
quite liked how we were both
looking
right.
through the. I'm just looking through the Renault article, and I do love some of the engine out suspension photos. We've got a bit dripping with snow foam.
I enjoyed doing the photography there. The behind the scenes cock-up thing, which actually I wrote a fair bit about, but when Ian put it in, he kind of reduced the amount that he said about it, which was when we decided to pressure wash a fan. And there's a white central fan in the engine bay, which is for the HVAC, for the heating ventilation. And we were doing the engine bay, and we were basically
Where does that fun go?
Goes
well,
literally to the what's it called? Inside.
yes, yes. So we had just done the
I
interior.
thought it was a turbo. I was just cleaning the oil off of it.
We'd done the interior the weekend before, and dried it out, and it was all lovely. And we were just basically getting a little overexcited with our pressure washer, and we decided to start hitting the fan with a bit of gentle pressure, and it started spinning, which we found very satisfying. So we put it with a bit more pressure, and it made a lovely noise, a sort of turbine noise. So then we decided
I did take that out.
You took something out. I thought it was that you took out. There was something that I was quite
No, it was
proud of.
it was just some other inane rambling.
And this
of
is
yours.
why you
Okay.
really shouldn't be here alone, you two.
I say this is why you should really
Well-
read the magazine.
I am
Well, I do, but then once it's in design, I try not to fiddle with it too much because I get in trouble if I do.
in
that.
design or in design.
In design.
In design.
Yeah, during when it's being
design
designed.
squared.
In the InDesign.
In designception.
Yes. Thank you, Adobe. So, yeah, and we started squirting, and we thought we were being very clever. It was quite fun. Wheeled it inside, and then I noticed 2 wet patches in the footwell, and it's because, of course, we've been squirting high-pressure water in through the HVAC, which had done that, so we felt very silly.
But footwells are really clean.
They were. We did have a slight argument whether we should put a dehumidifier in, because I thought we should, and you thought, no, it'll dry on its own and can't be bothered, so...
More the second.
Oh, they'll only rot once. Don't worry about that.
I've heard that
I
before.
mean, there's already holes in the floor panel. We get it eventually.
Oh, it was holy.
I mean, those
Jesus.
not great
No, it's
card.
not.
Great
Great
card.
card.
£2,000.
No, 2995.
1995.
Oh, imagine if it was a
Pounds. What do you want
1.7
50p for?
GTX.
Well, 1.7 was a diesel.
I thought they did a GTX petrol. Oh, let's not get.
But
down
it's
this
not a
route.
1.7.
Google here.
Back on topic. Okay,
okay.
final little bit of article here was something that Bert wrote, and this was
It was a polemic.
Yeah, a bit of a polemic, a bit of a how people in the industry saw the support they received from Gov,
Yeah, and it was
lack thereof.
yeah.
There's-
I mean,
We've touched on it before, though, haven't we? There's a definite onus on the business operators to run their books adequately.
yes,
Those that have been helped to a point,
with some exceptions though.
with some exceptions. The majority that have missed out, it's because their bookkeeping has been.
A little bit cash and handy.
I was going to be a bit more democratic about it.
I'll be a bit more diplomatic.
That's something like the tax system's not really set
Diplomatic,
up
there's the
to try and give you as many loopholes as possible. It's up to you to try and find them. In this case, it hasn't worked out for you, but actually, you probably find maybe not so much now. There's another one going on at the moment, but if it was just the one lockdown, probably most people would be ahead overall over the 5 years.
Yeah.
Yes, you might have not the money now, but you would have
Benefited
reaped the
from
benefits long
savings.
term. Yeah.
But I would like to put a huge caveat here, because there'll be somebody throwing something at something as a consequence of that, and that is that if you'd started a new business, or if you'd simply paid yourself in a perfectly legitimate way through dividend or whatever, and you end up falling between the hoops, then yeah, the government support has failed you.
The reason for that, though, is because there was an opportunity without that in place for people to set up spurious businesses as soon as they heard out
Which
about
they
it.
did, hundreds,
Tried
thousands.
to.
Yeah,
They tried to, and claim as much as they could, then shut the business down.
yeah.
So it's understandable why, but there should have been some sort of
Appeals process with human beings.
yeah, an assessment
Yeah.
should have been made.
Where they really did mess up on this was nothing to do with the finance, I don't think, because that goes across all business areas. Where they messed up and where they continue to flip-flop around is on the definitions of who can and can't work and the reasons why not.
Yes.
And then again, this goes off into podcasts that we've covered in the past and discussions we've all had anyway, I'm sure.
And now we're in lockdown 3, which is different again, and we're getting literally councils and more diversification. So in the first one, everybody was generally told to stop, and they generally did. Not everybody, but generally. Second one, we didn't really notice, did we? I mean, it was a non-event. And the third
I
one,
don't tend to go outside in November anyway. I'd just be writing a bloody magazine.
Well, the second lockdown was the tiered system, so it wasn't a full lockdown, was it?
I think November was.
November was
Yeah.
supposed to be that circuit breaker
Yeah.
idea, wasn't it? So
Which
there was
didn't
still
really
there was tears going on all over the place.
I thought that was December when we shut that down.
No, December was
No,
tears.
Yeah, that was
Right.
tears, and then it kind of went into that tier 4, but don't go anywhere at Christmas.
Unless you
anyway.
want to, but
Yeah.
you can do, but don't.
Yeah.
If you, unless you
Well,
want
I
to.
didn't. We'd
Yeah.
isolated for a week before with the hope of going down. In the end, we just thought, no, actually, we're not going to. So we haven't seen family for 6 months now.
Yeah, I mean, it was difficult for us because obviously we've got a little in.
Yeah.
He was desperate to see the family, and it was just, we ended up having, we went down before the December lockdown, and luckily managed to see everybody then, but it's just been, and we've stuck to it. Obviously, we're working behind the scenes, but that's because we're in a enclosed bubble, aren't we? So
Yeah.
we don't go anywhere else apart from here, effectively.
Well, the other thing, I look at the bright side, and the last time I saw my parents, it was bright sunshine in, I think, in July or something. So, if that's my final memory, that's my final memory. But it's pretty tough old times. But the lockdown 3, the issue we've had is that official sources, trading standards, local councils, you name it, have had mixed things. We've got in writing various organisations saying you can work as per, ones that saying you can work but only do interiors or only do commercial vehicles, and others saying you can't work. And this is in neighbouring counties. And then we've had the worst case where we've had some people forced to shut, and then told they're not eligible for the forced closure grant because they weren't forced to shut. So, there's this inconsistency, and we've been trying very hard as PBD particularly to get some clarification from sources. We've written to MPs, councillors, trading standards, and frankly drawn a blank.
Well, I mean, as you've recently experienced yourself through the HMRC, it's very much a case of we won't tell you what you can't do, but we'll wrap you across the knuckles if you do it and you can't.
Yes. I'd forgotten about that, but that's fine. Yeah, not going to be getting any super
darkness, my old friend. Yeah, it's chaos. It's absolute chaos. And the problem you've got is that we've been classified, I say we, the classification, or the generalisation is probably a better word, of anybody that works on vehicles in an element of cleaning them is a car wash. And car washes have to close.
Yeah.
And that's basically what we've been told. The fact that we're operating, the view that the government have is that a car wash is a roadside car wash with a throughput of 100 cars a day, 20 members of staff.
Which is a risk from a transmission point of view.
In certain cases, poor health and safety.
Not much PAYE either.
Well, that's they're classifying Joe Blogg's detailing in the middle of the countryside, getting one customer every 4 days.
Yeah.
Putting the keys in a Sani bag, sanitizing everything before the car's handed back, working on his own in a locked workshop.
Almost as if he's dipping his hands into a bucket full of detergent all day.
Yeah, and they're in the same catchment as the other place.
Yeah, and there's hypocrisy where we've got the police shutting down places. At the same time, a couple of our members are doing high-ranking police officers, and they're asking for it to be done. We've also, one of our guys has got the biggest contract I've ever seen for a government body, which is active.
Whose? Is it Boris's?
No, but it's got lots of blacktop.
I wouldn't touch his government body.
Got lots of blacktop, and it kind of, anyway, I can't give it away.
Have you seen Boris's car? He did a flipping news interview about how bad it was.
I went on BBC 3 Counties and tried
That
to
was
say
the
nice
pinnacle
things.
of your career, that wasn't it?
No, the peak of my career happened about 15 years ago, and it's never going to happen. It's now just a downward trend to ultimate destitution and premature death. Well,
I think that brings us nicely to the end of this podcast, reading through a discussion of various pros and cons of French cars and how the government's doing an overall terrible job.
Yeah. By the way, there is a magazine, and you can get it from www.pro-detailer.com.
The cover.
You might be able to get it.
The cover.
God, yeah.
The cover. Let's talk about the cover. The cover is great, and I had very little to do with it apart from taking the photo. And strange enough, that car on the front is a photo. It's just been much played with.
Valmorphanized.
That's the one. I've never heard that phrase
It's
in
from
my life.
Team America. It's when they stick hair to Gary's face and make him not look like Gary.
If it's
Anyway,
not a World War II documentary, I
well,
probably
you
haven't
made the mistake of telling me to go bananas on the front cover
Yes.
and make it as 80s and retro as possible.
Which it did.
I kind of feel like I kind of feel like it's almost Grand Theft Auto Vice City.
Oh,
That's a game. Remember that?
Yeah, I
Soundtrack
do.
was incredible.
I just downloaded Grand Theft Auto 3.
But yeah, it's cool. I mean, luckily we've got access to some great resources for graphics and stuff. So shout out to those guys. Yeah, just made it look like a...
It's very different. It's the most different we've
game.
got. And the thing that scares me about this cover is, so the good covers, I feel, kind of came in with issue 9, which was a photo of a BMW, which is one of my favourite photos I've ever taken. Then issue 10, we had a photo that was taken by another photographer, which we stylised quite heavy, and there was a green theme to it.
Yeah, we put quite a lot of time into to photoshopping that around, didn't we?
Yeah, that was a
It was a good
manipulated-
photo as it started, but to actually make it into a cover.
Yeah, and then 11, as you may remember, we sat outside literally for a night taking photos of stars and Audis. And then we have this one. I'm slightly bricking it as to how we're going to top this one on the basis that we always try and go bigger and better, which is why this is bigger than any other issue and all the rest of it.
We're going to have to set fire to an insignia.
Yes. Or a Subaru. Oh, we could set fire to both. We could crash them into each other and set them on fire. Yes.
You couldn't crash them into each other. You'd have to crash the insignia into the Subaru because the Subaru doesn't move at the moment. But it's a technicality. But no,
Wouldn't even do that, actually, would it?
No.
we could do something with fire. Oh, it does. It does turn over. It starts.
Yes.
What I would love to do, and this is a massive olive branch reaching out to our friend. He'll never listen to this, but if we could get Barry,
Which Barry?
my photographer
The guy
friend
that does
Oh,
Barry,
your
Tea.
photography, Barry.
if we could get him to come and do a one-off out of retirement fire painting shoot,
That would be cool.
and we'll do an article on how it's done.
That would be really
That
cool.
would be awesome. I will speak to Barry.
Especially if at some point we can maybe set fire to the insignia as well. I'm really,
that'd be-
really committed to this
Chaps,
idea.
I don't
That'll be
have
the
an
end result.
insignia, and I don't associate myself with anybody with an insignia
we
that I'm
can
aware
find
of.
one. It'll spontaneously combust at some point. Anyway,
But for, the,
I thought those Zephyras.
for those interested,
that's not spontaneous.
Barry doesn't do it anymore because he had a massive... He lost all of his work, basically. But if you check out Van Elder Photography on Google, some of his images still exist in the ether. But check out some of his stuff. It's so cool.
Yeah.
If we can somehow get him to come and do it for us.
Oh, tell him I'll go and pick him up in a Subaru. That should be pretty
No, he's a
enticing.
Mitsubishi guy.
I have respect.
No, he's a Mitsubishi guy.
I have respect for Mitsubishi
He's
people.
VR4 to the core.
Oh, as in Galant. Oh, no, we get on. I'm a legacy man. Galants and VR4s are pretty.
It's like you both opted for the second best versions they did.
No, we're both grown-ups. And by the sounds of it, I don't know you, Barry, but you sound like you've got taste, and I want to meet you in my Subaru. And we can talk about f-stops and twin-scroll turbos. Oh, no, you don't have a twin-scroll turbo, do you?
I'm
'Cause
sure they
you're-
do. No, they got twin entry turbo. haven't they?
It's a 2.8 V6.
If I start
twin
playing the
turbo.
outro music, can we stop this now?
Well, have a go.